This is not just another golf podcast. This is Golf Underground. This is Golf Underground. We just happen to be the third funniest podcast in golf. We interview PGA Tour pros, Hall of Fame athletes, rock stars, business leaders. Sure, we talk about golf, but we have fun. All right, let's do it. Welcome to Golf Underground. Now your hosts, Wardo, Sully, and MLB Hall of Famer, George Brett.
Hey, welcome to Golf Underground. It's been too long, George, Wardo. So good. It's our favorite time of year. It's Masters Week, which means for the next 4 days, everything else in sports is kind of take a back seat. Even tonight's national championship game doesn't excite me as much as what we're about to see at Augusta. And, of course, big week 2 weeks ago. We've got to come out of the gates. We've got to talk about your boy, Gary Woodland, because 2 weeks ago he won the Houston Open. That was his first tournament win since 2019 U.S. Open. And, of course, after what this guy has been through, like the brain surgery, the PTSD, fighting to get his game back, you understand why the entire golf world totally stopped and watched as he walked up that 18th fairway. It was just freaking amazing. And, of course, it's got to mean a lot to both you and George. George, of course, was the officiator at your wedding, while Jerry was the best man. And so I want to just kind of start with this before we get into another great friend of the show, Drew Hinesley, and we'll give a little background on Drew. But I want to give you guys a chance to say, what did it feel like as him being such a close friend of both of you to see that? Because it's the story of the year and will continue to be.
George, kick it off.
Well, I get a call from Gary on Saturday, the day after he missed the cut in San Diego, and he flew to Arizona. And he called me up Saturday afternoon and said, hey, can we play golf tomorrow at Whisper Rock? I said, sure. Who's going to play? He said, I got my caddy, Butchie. Why don't you get your son, Robin? I said, fantastic. So we show up, and Butchie doesn't show up because he thought he'd be flying in on Monday or on Sunday night. He didn't have a car on Saturday. So long story short, Butchie did a bunch of errands. And so me and Gary and my son, Robin, played. And, it's tough to play golf with three guys. I hate it. Yeah. So we decided, okay, me and Robin will play a scramble against Gary, and we get a mulligan a hole. We waxed him. And Gary didn't play bad, but we were making 50-foot putts on him and stuff. I think we beat him 4 up, But I didn't see it coming, this turnaround. I mean, he hit a good. I was impressed, but I think he shot 72 that day. And then all of a sudden he came out and he told the world about his PTSD. And ever since then, he's been playing great. And Drew, you know more about the tour than I do, but I got a feeling he's right now the most popular American golfer on tour after what he's accomplished.
Yeah, by far. And we've had a little stretch here with Sneds playing so well at Valspar along with Gary, and then Gary playing and winning the Houston Open, where it makes you kind of start second guessing. Maybe we should have had the vice captains teeing it up at Bethpage instead of riding carts around.
That's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are showing some good form. I mean, heck, Jamie Lovemark's almost retired, and the last month of watching PGA Tour, he might be trying for Q School later this year, thinking, well, those guys are digging in the well. I might as well do the same.
Unbelievable.
Well, I think that's the beautiful thing about our game is there's no shelf life for when you can finally turn it around. And obviously there's a lot of guys sometimes they'll hang on too long, right, in that situation. But at the end of the day, that's the beautiful thing that, and look at this run that Rosie's had, Lucas Glover. So there's this, you never know when it's coming.
Well, and as somebody who is still considers myself recovering from alcoholism and drug addiction, when you get something heavy off your chest and you just open and honest to those around you, but in Gary's case, also making the public admission about it, the things he's struggling with, it lets a huge weight off your shoulders, and it really frees you up just to be yourself. And he's not trying to mask anything. He's not trying to pretend to the crowds and to the media like nothing's bothering him. He's very open about it. And look at the month he's had since he made that admission. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, the day after we played on a Sunday. On Monday, I believe he was doing an 8-hour therapy session with someone that flew out from New York to try to deal with this stuff. And I was asking him about what they do. And, you know, I don't know if they knock them out or they put them on some type of drugs and they get really deep into your brain, try to figure stuff out. But he said he'll wake up Tuesday morning and feel like a new man. And it'll last probably about a month or two, and then he'll have to do it again. But the coolest thing about him winning that tournament, and I didn't stay home and watch Sunday. I went out and played golf with my boys, got home the 14th hole. And when he was walking up 18, the guys he was playing with, they stayed way behind, and they were encouraging the crowd to clap for this guy and stand up and acknowledge the things he's gone through. And I remember my wife, we had people, my family coming over for dinner that night. And I went and told my wife, I said, hey, she was blow drying her hair in the bathroom. I said, hey, how much longer you got? And she said, oh, I got about another 3 or 4 minutes. I said, well, you better be out here in 4 minutes because Gary's going to win a tournament. She had no idea.
Really?
And I'll tell you what, I had tears. My wife had tears and one of my kids had tears. Yeah. When he made that putt, I mean, it was like this. We were all so happy for him. It was awesome.
Well, you guys know that the fierce competitors that every player is at that level, and even the levels leading up to it. Being on the 72nd green, not accomplishing your goal is not always the most comfortable thing. And there was a view from in front of the green of Butchie kind of walking in, calming Gary down, saying, hey, just put a good stroke on this. Gary makes the putt. And you can see beyond Gary, Minwoo Lee's actually smiling and clapping. He just got beat by Gary. And he's smiling and clapping because, like George said, this was an incredibly popular win. I think Fleetwood's win at the Tour Championship last year to conclude the season was a very popular win. And I think Gary surpasses that as far as everybody in the locker room, giving him a high five, giving him a hug. Nobody was upset about their placement behind Gary in Houston.
Amazing. Seeing Minwoo, that to me was so cool, George, like you'd mentioned. You know, he's doing this. I mean, I've never seen that. Never seen it. Like you said, Drew, these guys are total competitors. And for them to, by the way, they were all trying to win that tournament, right? This wasn't a charity deal for Gary.
Well, and Minwoo, one other thing for Gary, not that he needs one more thing, but Minwoo won last year there.
Right.
So you're paired with him. You got these guys trying to chase you down the last round. And for him to basically lead start to finish in that golf tournament's pretty dang amazing. You know, and considering he's had a lot of events over the last 2 years since he came back where he played good 2 or 3 out of the 4 or kind of fall off the 3rd or 4th round just because of too tired.
Fatigue, yeah.
And then one thing I heard from Randy Smith, who's been working with him again, and that's been an interesting deal over the years, which I kind of had a front row seat. Randy Smith said it's one of his best wins for a player. And think about all the wins he's had over the years with Scotty,
yeah,
you name it, all the way back to Hunter Mahan. And so if you think about that.
Well, and I think one of the things that I heard Gary say regarding his reunion with Rick is Rick's just gotten him swinging aggressive and free again. And George will tell you, when you're thinking about baseball swing or how to field the ball, you're not going to be as successful as if you're in that flow state. You react, you're an athlete, you trust your practice and your preparation, and you're aggressive and you swing free. And that's what Gary's doing, and the results bear it out.
Well, he also, did he get a new putter too? Did he get a new putter or a new putting stroke?
He switched. Well, he went to claw because,
he went to the claw. Yeah.
But he went to claw, and then there's a slight change in the putter. He's in the center shafted Scotty Cameron. So, no, I mean, I think when he's putting it, the ball striking, I think day in, day out, year over year is pretty amazing. And then you throw in a little bit more added speed, not that he needed it. And then you throw in making some putts. So I just think it was obviously the perfect storm.
Hey,
I played with him last November at Jordan's place down in Jupiter or Hobe Sound and
the Grove 23.
I told somebody after we played, he played really, really good. It wasn't like he was that amazing, but I'm like, I won't be surprised if somehow this guy finds his way onto the next Ryder Cup team.
Did you beat him? Did you beat him down there?
I don't think no, but I did birdie the last to save me some money.
How many strokes was he giving you?
think two aside.
Wardo, as a golf instructor, I mean, he's leading the tour in driving distance. He's 41 years old. Like, what's he doing?
Well, I think post-surgery, it was all just, how do I get rest? And then I think he's starting to implement more and more of the body and the movement stuff into his daily routine because he has enough energy for it. Yeah. Furthermore, I think he's strengthened his left-hand grip a little bit. And then he also, back to Randy's point about having a little bit more swing freer and swing harder. But the ball speeds in the 190s I've never really seen him there. I've seen him, 191. We went in 2003 to Carlsbad. So, yeah, this is good, Drew. X100 shaft in his driver, 44 inches. He was 186 ball speed. Then they put him in some graphite design. They got him to 191. This was 2003.
Wow.
So, but I mean, when I've seen him, he's been cruising speed of 185, 186, 187, but not a lot of 190, mid 190s. Now, I don't know. Drew has a front row seat. He would know more than I do, but sometimes are those TrackMan numbers a little inflated? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm working with a new guy, a kid named Dylan Stewart out of Oklahoma State, started a couple weeks ago on the Corn Ferry, and he's got one machine, a Quad Pro, and he actually brought in a TrackMan on the range on Wednesday, and we did get some varying numbers. So sometimes it's just the data system is a little different. There's grass on the reader. But yeah, at Carlsbad, I guarantee you they've got everything optimized for what Gary's trying to do. And doesn't surprise me at all to hear that switch created, 6 to 10 miles per hour.
One way or another, he's leading the tour in total driving. So,
well,
Yeah.
And some of that too is the older guys, they understand kind of how to hit the ball a little more efficiently. And maybe they're not coming in like as steep as a Cam Young. Cam Young's going to come in steep, create more backspin and more side spin. The axes are going to change a little bit. And that, of course, takes a little distance off. Now, Cam Young has enough club head speed to get away with the spin, and he's still going to probably put it out there close to Gary. Whereas Gary, he's learned how to flatten out not only his ball flight, but to hit with less RPM. So that's going to get him a little bit, not only in the air, but also maybe a little bit released on the ground. So the old guys, again, there's a reason they're veterans, because they figured out a few tricks the young guys hadn't quite gotten around to needing or knowing.
So what's the difference, Drew, in if you're, what ball speed is it? You're talking about 180, 185 to 190. Is it 180 to 190? Is that 10 yards carry or is it more?
it's like a mile
Usually
an hour per
3 to 4 yards per mile per hour. That's kind of how it breaks down. Do you agree, Wardo?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth.
Wow.
Yeah. If you can get 5 miles an hour, that's 15 yards of actual distance on the golf course.
Wow.
And that's carry numbers. And of course, if you're at a Whisper Rock where it's nice and firm, you get 15 and then you get another 15, 20 on the ground.
Right.
So, you're getting 30 yards. That's 2 full clubs for a tour pro into a green. Instead of a 6-iron on a par 5, he's maybe hitting an 8. So,
And one thing, club head speed as a tour pro doesn't matter as much in my opinion because all the AMs are looking at that. But one thing we've seen, Drew, with quad, if you put 4 dots on it and then you put a TrackMan out and have same golfer, same shot, quad usually reads with 4 dots on the driver face, usually reads like 2 to 4 miles an hour faster. So just a heads up. So there's your difference in,
okay.
but you won't see much difference in ball speed, especially outside.
Well, and the thing about the quads, you don't get as much club data, which is what the pros like Wardo's talking about. We don't really care about the speeds. We want to know, face to path, club path, and then is it shut a half degree? Is it open a half degree? We want the club info way more than we want the ball speed info. We don't really care about that. Once you get fitted for your ball, you're good. You just want to know what the club face is doing at and through impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, let's change gears because Drew, you've got a little experience here at Augusta, and of course you've been on the program several times. Just a little background for the listeners. You used to caddy. Well, you had a good little time with Bryson DeChambeau back in the day, and I want to shift to him right now because he's won 2 straight on the Live Tour. He's got to be one of the favorites coming into this week, and of course you've been inside the ropes with him. What are you thinking about DeChambeau? Because he just made a lot of money the past 2 weeks.
He's made a lot of money his entire career, and unfortunately, I haven't been privy to a share of that. Not that my wife's keeping up with that, but we went there in 2016 with the expressed interest within our team. We weren't just going there to be an amateur participant. do all the ceremonial stuff. He was actually going there, and he said this out loud to me on a putting green in California. I'm going there to win the Masters. And we weren't happy with even par round one. He was actually 4 under with 3 to play on Friday, 2 shots off Jordan Spieth's lead. And we ended up giving those 4 shots back coming home. But he was still in a tie for 8th at the 36 hole mark as an amateur rookie participant. And it created a lot of buzz. It had been a long time since an amateur had performed that well. I think Sam Bennett kind of had the same performance a couple of years ago, kid out of Texas A&M. Actually did a little bit better than Bryson did, got himself in some late weekend tee times. But Bryson was tied for 8th at the 36 hole mark and was actually ahead of the eventual champion, Danny Willett, at the halfway point. So he played really good then, had a rough day Saturday, and then actually birdied the 72nd hole on Sunday to finish in a tie for 21st, which got him to Butler Cabin on Sunday night. He's yet to return. I know that's itching at him big time. It's been a decade. There's no tournament. I know he's a 2-time U.S. Open champ, but I don't think he'll make too many bones that this is the tournament he wants to win the most. He's always said that. He loves the tradition, just loves the exclusivity of it and the exclusivity of changing in the champions locker room. They built a new player performance center. I don't know if you guys have been to the Masters, but there's a tournament practice range. There's kind of 5 or 6 rows of seats for the patrons behind that. And there used to be, that's where the players had their parking lot. Well, now that entire parking lot is a player performance center. Every participant that's ever gone to the Masters will tell you it's hospitality unlike any other event they see on the pro circuit. But what makes Augusta so cool and so special is the members identified several years ago, the player experience wasn't quite up to the standard they wanted to set. So they've built this new 3-story player performance area. If you're watching Golf Channel at all this week, they'll profile this in depth. It's got every amenity a modern player could want, places for the wives and families and coaches and friends to kind of hang out. If they don't have the clubhouse badge, there was really kind of a limbo for them. There wasn't a place for them to go. And so now that exists. It's not in the caddy shack with all us dirty caddies, and it's not in the clubhouse with the members who may intimidate some family and friends. Now they kind of have their own specific area for tournament week. It's a cool place, but I can promise you, no matter how state of the art and new that new player hospitality area is, every single one of them wants to be changing clothes in that champion's locker room above Founder Circle every day they go there, like Rory is for the first time this year. And Bryson wants to as bad as anyone. And knowing his skill set, his length, and you saw it last year in the final round with Rory. He had the lead, I think, 2 different times in that final round, ended up, tied for 5th. But he can dominate that course with his length. This year, the weather forecast is going to be dry, a little bit windy, and then it's going to get hot on the weekend. So his wedges being the same length as his 7-iron is always a little bit of a question mark. How is he going to be around those greens when they're firm and fast? And if he gets one that's down grain, downhill, how's he going to stop it? Because he really doesn't have that shortness of a club where he can kind of, that Sahith Theegala, where he sticks that handle in his left pocket and creates all that club head speed. Bryson really doesn't have that capability with the configuration of his clubs. And sometimes you need that little nipper, as Tiger calls it, around the greens, that one hop stop from 7 yards. That's a really hard shot to hit. And with a longer lob or sand wedge, it's almost impossible to hit. And so that's why you see him hit more into the hills and kind of roll one up over a fringe and try to trickle it to a hole. Well, if it has an ounce too much speed at Augusta, that's 20 feet of roll that you didn't account for. So those are the things that may hold him back on a week where the forecast is going to have a firm, fast golf course. It rained pretty heavy Sunday. It will not rain again until they crown the winner Sunday night. So they're going to have that golf course. They're going to have the ability to dial it exactly like they want it. And they'll keep the fairways green and moist, but you'll see a huge contrast on the weekend. It'll be really green fairways and really light yellow greens, which means they're hard, they're fast, and they've sucked all the moisture out of them almost to the point of death. At that place, they can just resurface them on Monday and nobody knows the difference.
Oh my God.
But they will have that golf course dialed very fast. And the guys with the killer short games are going to be the ones that are going to, move to the top of the board. And I'm not sure I put Bryson in that category. He's going to have a lot of looks for eagles and birdies, but it's going to be the short game. Maybe it's always going to be his Achilles heel in a year where the conditions are like they are now.
But Drew, over the past 2 years, he's been inside the top 10 there in every round. And I think Scheffler was probably the only other player who did that. What was different in the course conditions over the past 2 years versus what you just described, and why it might be a detriment to him?
Well, what I'm describing does not exclude him from finishing in the top 10. I just think it's going to keep him from having a good chance with 9 holes to go on Sunday, which is, it's like the Kentucky Derby. You just want to get off to a good start, not run into another horse out of the gate. And then coming down that last, furlong, you want to have a chance to let that horse run. And that's, as a caddy, that's kind of what you're trying to do. You're just trying to keep the blinders on the horse, keep him running a steady race. And then when it's time to open up, you have the freedom to do that. Those guys that are 2 and 3 shots off the lead, standing on the 10th tee, they have a chance. Really, nobody else does. Because if, the leader is ahead, if he shoots 3 or 4 under, if you're 6 or 7 back, you just don't have enough time to catch him. But again, I don't think he can't finish in the top 10. I just think when the conditions are firm, his short game will be a bit of a liability, but he'll finish top 10 because he's going to get 16 chances for birdie just the way the course sets up. And he thinks 3 is almost a long par 3 because he can drive it down short. Phil told him in 2016, you hit driver here except for the front middle pin. And he's even hit driver to the front middle pin against Phil's advice, but he's made birdie doing it. So he's got his way of playing that golf course. The bunkers on the left on 3 really aren't in play for his driver. And there's nothing but green grass. And even the first cut is okay because it's such an uphill shot that it's going to come in flat with no spin anyway. So hitting out of the first cut's not a huge difference. And you do have, if it's a back right pin and you're coming in from kind of in front of that bunker on 3, you can actually hit it towards the middle of the green, the right edge middle, and it's a bit of a draw spin coming into that flag. So he knows all these things. He's hit all these shots. And so you give him the 4 par 5s and you give him 3 as a chance to get up and down from inside 100 yards. And when he made the comment years ago, I didn't think he should have made it publicly, but he had made it privately that par was 67. And I didn't disagree with that. And Dustin Johnson feels the same way. And he's got a green jacket to prove it. One of my picks this week, a first-timer that I think is going to do great, is in the same mold, Chris Goddard. The kid just sends it, and he hits it so hard, and he has the ability to hit it so high, and that's what's needed at Augusta. That's why Lee Trevino never played all that well, because he wasn't a high ball hitter. Goddard is. He's long. He's in that mold of DJ and Bryson.
He bombs it.
Yeah, I expect him to have a lot of the same success those 2 men have had.
Wow. Thanks for joining the Golf Underground. Now, the Golf Underground is brought to you by Star Companies, KC. Experience a more energy efficient and comfortable home with Star's insulation services. Regal Distributing, specializing in the distribution of food service and professional cleaning supplies to a variety of industries. Cowell Insurance, providing brokerage and risk management services for over 25 years. Sano Orthopedics, care plans backed by research and clinical results tailored perfectly to individual needs. Bob Sight Ford and Bob Sight Independence Kia, where you'll score a double eagle on your next car or truck. Lewisburg Ford, nobody sells more F-150s than Lewisburg Ford. And Celebrity Greens, put a custom PGA caliber putting green in your backyard for the ultimate golf experience. Now, onto the program. All right. Well, of course, Scheffler's the prohibitive favorite. You think he's the mortal lock here, or might he stumble a little bit?
He's on my team, on the Masters app, on the fantasy team.
Yeah.
Taking 3 weeks off, and nobody in the last 10 years has won taking 3 weeks off before the Masters. But I do think this is a bit of a statistical outlier in the fact that his wife just gave birth 9 days ago to their son. And we saw some frustrations boiling over in Florida. A little bit of that was just the crustiness of those Bay Hill greens. I was there. They were pretty close to not being alive. And so that's always frustrating for the golfers. That certainly won't be the case here at Augusta. 2-time champ. He is winning every even year this decade since he started winning. So it's another even year. And I just think you guys have been through this in your own lives. Once your wife gives birth, that 3rd trimester is over. And that 3rd trimester is stressful as much on the husband as it is the wife. And sometimes when we're out on tour and we're doing our job, we come home and we FaceTime the family, and that's when the wife unloads on us. And the hormones of pregnancy and all that. Meredith could have just been saving all her angst every day for Scotty, pouring it out on him. And then we see it manifest out on the golf course. He has no patience in himself. Well, all that's over with. And now he comes to one of his favorite places So you're going to hear a lot of, well, Scotty hadn't played well lately and 3 weeks off. I think this is one of those where you kind of shove that to the side. And he played yesterday in his champions round, had a great afternoon, in a great mood. And I think he's going to be a guy to be reckoned with this year. Last year, he saw Rory win at Pebble. He saw Rory win at the Players. He saw Rory win at the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a little fired up, changed a couple of things in his approach, and he won the PGA and Open championships. And he almost caught JJ at Oakmont. He had a horrible first round. You may remember that's when he and Rick Smith were fighting on the range.
Randy Smith. Yeah.
Randy Smith. And he is in the hunt with 9 holes to play at Oakmont. So he almost won 3 in a row. He contended certainly in 3 in a row. So this year, I think he comes in with a little different approach. And again, a little stress off his plate with the pregnancy being over with. Remy's now here, and we're ready to go at Augusta again. I don't know why you wouldn't pick that guy to win at that golf course. He's a lot like Tiger. The place is just kind of made for him. He can hit shots every way.
Can Ludvig with his perfect golf swing, and I mean, again, I think we always fall back to Tiger, right? But this guy comes out and just seems like down the stretch, he hasn't closed as well as he would have liked, obviously. And is this something that Ludvig can amount with all the pressure and get this thing done?
I don't think Ludvig feels the pressure the way we think he does. He's one of my favorite people on tour. He's so laid back. Smiley and I were with him when he got the bloody nose at Castle Pines, and he's wearing a white Adidas shirt with blood all down the front, and he's just laughing it off. Where most guys would be doing a wardrobe change, they're worried about their image. Ludvig is so laid back. Playing Bay Hill, we were around him a lot and saw some good things. He made the comment Saturday night at the Players, if he makes mistakes, he's going to make them aggressively. I think he died on that hill at the Players on Sunday. After he made the mistake on 11, I'm not sure hitting the driver on 12 was the right move. I think you do have to have the ability to adapt your strategy based on the condition and the situation you find yourself in. And if you're not dialed, you don't make that move. You say, hey, let's just hit the 4-iron out to the right and wedge it close. And so that cost him the Players, in my opinion. And I don't think there's that many opportunities to do that at Augusta. You avoid the water on 12 and 13 on the back. You make a good decision on 15, and it's just golf swing the whole way. So Ludvig, a 7th place, a runner-up his first 2 times. He's certainly trending the right way. Another guy that is on my team in my fantasy picks. I just don't know how you don't pick him with his recent form and his results at that place. I think he likes it. It's time for him to win a major. You remember he played in a Ryder Cup before he even competed in a major. That's hard to believe, but he did that. And now he's only been doing this for a couple of years, major championships. I think this is his 9th major championship. So if you remember, Tiger had all the exemptions from the USAM for 3 years and played as an amateur in all the majors and then won his professional debut at the Masters. But he had a lot of reps at those events. Ludvig is just now getting to that level of reps that Tiger had when he won in 97. So if we're patient with Ludvig, I think we're going to see some great things maybe starting this week.
How did Ludvig play in the Ryder Cup?
Played great. I think he
ass.
The opening tee shot in his first match in Rome. And again, he's such a calm kid and he gets fired up like everybody else, but he is just the demeanor he has on the golf course. I never see him get too high or too low, and that pays dividends in majors. If you remember at Pinehurst, when Bryson ended up beating Rory, Ludvig was in the group in front of Rory and Patrick Cantlay. He was 2 groups from the last. Bryson and the guy from France, I forget his name now, they were in the group behind us. Smiley and I were with Rory and Pat Cantlay, and I watched a lot of Ludvig shots, including the out of bounds on number 2 on Sunday that kind of ejected him out of contention. So Ludvig's put himself there a lot, and we forget with a little bit of recency bias how many times he's already been in the hunt at big events. The Players is a big event. He's getting reps, and eventually he'll get over that hump. Another guy that I like this week getting over the hump at the Masters is Xander Scheffler, a guy that's already had a runner-up there, plays great there, does everything really well. Again, Ludvig and Xander are 2 guys that I think could be neck and neck Sunday, both looking for their first Masters.
Okay, Drew,
I pick Xander every year and I lose.
I
Go
got
ahead,
another
George.
question for you, Drew. What's more pressure, trying to win the Masters or playing for the Ryder Cup?
Man, that's a fantastic question.
Because you know what's crazy? They had the World Baseball Classic this year.
Right.
The Kansas City Royals had 14 players representing all different countries.
Okay.
And they came back to spring training, and it was a great experience for some of our younger players that have never played in a World Series. And they came back, and all of a sudden I was talking to one of them opening day in Kansas City, and I said, how does this compare? Opening day is like the most nervous you'll be all year, you know, at home until the playoffs, if you make it. And so I said, how are you nervous? He said, oh, man, I played all those games in the World Baseball Classic. This is another game to me right now. So I'm wondering with Ludvig, after playing in the Ryder Cup and then, you know, playing for your country or your continent, whatever, and then all of a sudden you go play in the Masters, I think there's a lot more pressure playing in that because you got teammates. You don't want to let them down. If you play an individual tournament, you're letting yourself down. That's it.
So here's how I would correlate that to your baseball career. Is there more pressure? Game 7 of a World Series.
Game 7 of the World Series. I'll tell you, I played it.
Okay. But I'm going to ask you another question because you were a fantastic hitter. If you've got it's the 8th inning and you guys are winning by 5, you know this is your last at bat in the regular season and you need a hit to hit 400 batting average. Are you under more pressure in that at bat or Game 7 of the World Series?
Game 7 of the World Series.
I think the Ryder Cup is Game 7 of the World Series, and I think each major as an individual is trying to hit 400.
So he's trying to win a batting championship or a home run derby or home run crown.
It's an individual thing, and it means everything. And financially, professionally, it torpedoes you into a different stratosphere, just like hitting 400 would. Nobody's done it since Ted Williams. And if George Brett or Tony Gwynn had been the guy to do it, you know, there'd be people talking about you guys in 50 years. So again, I think that's kind of, you want to do it really bad. It's a huge individual accomplishment. And for the Masters, you get to go back. I mean, think of Craig Stadler. I mean, he's going to be at a dinner tomorrow night on Tuesday night at Champions Dinner, sitting in his same spot with Amira and Tiger and all those guys. Maybe Tiger won't be there, but there will be some guys there. And again, like Craig Stadler, when's the last time he hit a meaningful golf shot? But he gets to do that the rest of his life. That's the cool thing about the Masters. Ludvig and those guys, Ludvig's 26 years old, and he knows that in 40 years he can still be hanging out at that place.
Right, like Fred Couples. Like Fred Couples.
Correct.
Freddie's playing his 41st one.
I know. It was cool. I think he posted yesterday on social media, he had an arm in the Champions parking lot around the young lady who just won the amateur. And I'm like, that's the neat thing about Augusta. Yeah. You get this young lady who's a collegiate student at Arkansas, and you get this guy who won the Masters long before she was born in 1992, and they're competing on the same piece of turf this week. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. That is
but
cool.
Yeah, I think Ludvig will handle the pressure, and I do think, like the Baseball Classic, having that experience in those huge events, and if you guys think back to Bethpage, I think Ludvig was the only guy in the front half of the tee sheet for the Europeans that won his match on Sunday. It was a USA whitewash. That's why it came down to the Lowry JT match. And Ludvig was the only full point that went up for Europe. So think about how he performed in that moment. Right. He's ready to win the Masters.
Yeah.
Cowell Insurance Services is your leading program administrator for workers' compensation. They're dedicated to meeting the unique challenges of the insurance industry and assisting employers in reducing their costs. CIS has provided insurance claim and loss control services to various industries, including trucking, construction, retail convenience stores, and healthcare, as well as public entities for over 30 years. They work with both retail agents and industry clients, or a combination of the two. If you're tired of fighting the rising costs of premiums and claims, give Cowell Insurance Services a call. Their dedicated staff is ready to find you the best insurance option at the most competitive price. They can help to define or enhance your safety program in order to move you in the right direction in reducing your claim and premium costs. Contact Cowell Insurance Services today, 816-214-4070.
What's up, Underground? Sully here with a message from our friends over at Bob's Site. Now, buying a new vehicle can be a bit like buying a new set of clubs, which means when you want to drive the ball straight, you seek advice from experts, golf pros like our boy Wardo. And when it comes to buying your next car or truck, you also need expert advice so that you drive away in style. Well, you now have options with the Site family's expanded dealership, now including Honda and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram in Lawrence, Kansas. And they're there to guide you to the perfect vehicle. With a commitment to exceptional service and a real passion for helping each customer, they're like the trusted golf pros of the auto world. And they're ready to analyze your needs and match you with your ideal ride. So step into bobsite.com or visit their Lawrence locations. Experience the difference of a team that's dedicated to helping you navigate your options, ensuring you drive off with confidence and satisfaction. Hey, Brian Sullivan of Golf Underground with my favorite orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Kevin Whitty from Sano Orthopedics. Hey, Doc, golf season's over. My back is killing me. I know it's football season, so you got a lot of kids coming in, blown ACLs, all sorts of body parts with problems. And then, of course, those baseball players. I know you fix a lot of elbows. Why is Sano Orthopedics the absolute best sports medicine orthopedic group in Kansas City?
Well, if you want to see the guys in town who've had the best orthopedic fellowship training in sports medicine, including training with Dr. James Andrews and Dr. Larry Lemack, come see us. We individualize patients' plans to get them back to that activity and that sport that they love. And we actually care and listen to our patients and follow up with them and make sure that they're getting the results they need.
Okay, and so the three things that separate you: number one, best training; number two, you specialize in getting people on that field; number three, you're actually listen. Where can I learn more? Because you got me all in, and I don't really want to get fixed, but it's time.
At SanoOrthopedics.com, 816-525-2840.
Hi, this is George Brett, Hall of Fame baseball player, and I've been playing golf for over 35 years. Hitting the ball far was never my problem, but the closer I got to the greens, that's when my problems began. When I wanted a golf practice area in my backyard, I called Celebrity Greens. They are the industry leader in custom-built synthetic golf greens. These championship caliber, low-maintenance greens roll great, react like real bent grass, and hold chip shots that check and spin. I absolutely love mine, not only in Kansas City, but also in Arizona. Call the pros at Celebrity Greens at 1-888-507-7960 or visit them online at celebritygreens.com. Practice like the pros, or people like me that want to be pros, right in your own backyard.
Hey, Brian Sullivan, Golf Underground, with a little tip for you. If you're looking to buy a new Ford, you have to check out my buddy, Jason Gudenkoff at Lewisburg Ford. They've been saving Midwest Ford buyers thousands of bucks for over 40 years because they do business the right way. They sell everything, check this out, for $50 over invoice. That's simple and cheap. And they win a lot of awards. In fact, they won Ford's President's Award 17 times. That's the top Ford award. And they only give it to dealers with superior customer satisfaction in sales and service. So they know how to take care of customers better than anybody. Now, what these guys know how to do also, keep this in mind, sell trucks. Lewisburg Ford has sold more F-150s than any other Ford dealership in greater Kansas City. That's 2 years running. And last year, they were the number one F-150 sales leader in the entire state of Kansas. So, no hassle. $50 over invoice pricing, unparalleled customer satisfaction, and a huge selection. That's a perfect recipe for selling trucks. So, check out all their inventory and prices online at lewisburgford.com or give them a call at 816-444-2300.
New golf clubs, a big screen TV to watch the U.S. Open, or maybe even a new golf cart that I've got my eye on.
No matter how you choose to spend the savings, if you're looking to put a dent in your monthly heating and cooling bills, the answer may be right over your head. If your attic isn't insulated properly, you're missing out on a prime opportunity to cut costs. Call the certified energy experts at Star Companies, Inc., 816-353-2160 for a free estimate to learn how they can help you save money. 816-353-2160 or visit starcompanieskc.com.
Speaking of vice captains, my proposal for the Ryder Cup moving forward to offset the injury problem or the injury rule is, all right, you're only bringing your 12 guys, but anyone of your vice captains you can pick can step in the ring if something happens to one of your players. You don't need to bring an alternate. They got the vice captains, might be hitting a couple balls, might not be, but.
Okay, Wardo, let's rewind to last September, and you get one vice captain on each side. Who do you pick last September to fill Harris English and Victor Hovland?
Well, I mean, because I'm boys with them, I would love to see Woodland throw on the gloves, knowing everything. And then, I mean,
who's the European vice captain that you wouldn't want to see?
Well, I'd want to play Luke Donald because obviously he's past his deal, but
I would not want to see Francesco Molinari.
I was going to say Molinari, but yeah.
He's a fiery competitor, Open champion just a handful of years ago. Obviously showed a little fire in that match on Saturday, getting into it with the American players, defending his European guys, Fleetwood and Rose. So Molinari.
How cool would that have been, though, if Molinari and Woodland just step right in?
I would have loved it. And listen, I'm out there, in my role, I'm caddying a lot in my match. And Gary's kind of watching his match. And specifically on the 6th hole, I think on Saturday, Gary's standing at the brow of the hill on 6 with his arms crossed. Butchie's in the cart behind him. And I just roll up and I'm just leaning on the cart, watching it with those two guys, watching Rory and his match that's right in front of Gary. And Gary's kind of helping those guys. And he's just kind of shaking his head like, man, and that was the hole where Kisner said, man, we're in trouble because they're intentionally driving it in the rough so they can one-hop it close. And that's when the USA team knew they were in trouble. And that hole, Gary's kind of shaking his head. You could just see the passion in Gary. He would have loved to have gone down to that green and helped somebody read a putt or hit the putt. So, yeah, I'd have thrown Gary in that mix.
Well, it's a bogus rule. Our guy can't play, so we push. No, your guy can't play, you lose a point. Right, Sully?
I will tell you. Well, I'll tell you, I saw both men involved in that. I saw Victor. He looked like somebody just run over his puppy dog. And his caddy, Shay, I went up to Shay. I said, man, sorry, you can't compete. And he says, I know, we really wanted to. And then I saw Harris English and his caddy, Eric Larson. And they had a slightly different reaction to not being involved in the action, as you would imagine. But yeah, it's a little bit of an antiquated rule. And you would think we could come up with a little bit better solution than given, and again, some of the American friends and family that I spoke to, they were like, well, that's just an auto half point for Europe that they didn't have to worry about putting on the board. And again, my argument being devil's advocate is I promise you, Victor wanted to put a full point up there, as did Harris English. So they're all competitors, as we've already discussed. And yeah, we need to change that rule. Maybe the PGA of America is watching this show.
I think they do watch the show, Kevin.
They need to change the rule.
Change Adair Manor next year in Ireland. Again, the RNA is it the European PGA Tour in charge of the DP World Tour? So maybe the DP World Tour will enact a local rule at Adair Manor based on what Wardo thinks should happen.
It needs to happen. Needs to happen.
Yeah.
All right. What's your guys' take on Gary? He's been through a lot this last couple of weeks with the win and everything going on. Is he going to have a successful week? I know this has been a tough golf course for him to compete on. Obviously, it sets up a little bit more for a drawer. He's a little bit more of a fader, but maybe some of the changes he's made to the golf swing are going to allow him to turn it over a little bit more. Furthermore, what I've seen when he's struggled there is hitting a lot of wedges and short irons to 30, 40 feet, and then not getting it down in 3 from there. So didn't know what your guys' thoughts on that.
Two of the hardest holes on the 3 hardest tee shots to me for anybody that draws the ball would be 1, 11, and 18. They all set up great for a fade. So you would think, and they're statistically 3 of the hardest scoring holes, 1 and 11 for sure, are always in the top 3 or 4 hardest holes. So you would think those would be pleasing to Gary's eye off the tee, and he would be able to paint the middle of that fairway, starting it up the left center. So maybe let's keep an eye on that this week, and maybe that's the sign of success. If we have good scores on 1 and 11 and we're gaining shots on the field there, maybe then we can propel that and take advantage of the easier holes like 13 that promote a little bit more of a draw. And with the 13 tee box move back now, I think it makes it easier for a guy like Gary because he can fade it into the fat spot, and then he can the lie allows you to then turn it a little bit left into the green, or you just play it as a 3-shotter. Justin Rose told me years ago his strategy on every par 5 is it's a 3-shot hole. On the tee box, he tells himself this is a 3-shot hole. And if he gets out in the fairway and gets a number that's appealing and he feels like the variables match up, then he considers going for it in 2, but only then. His mentality is he never wants to, he said too many guys will hit a poor tee shot on a par 5 and spend the first 250 yards of that hole in a bad mood. And he said, that's not helpful for success.
I've only done that like my whole life.
Well, didn't Zach Johnson win Augusta and never won for a par 5 and 2?
Never hit a par 5 and 2. And that was
he didn't even attempt, did he?
Well, his strategy was we only do it if we land on a number. And it was a very cool year and the ball didn't go far. He doesn't hit it far to begin with. So it made so much sense for them just to lay up to wedge numbers and that's the strength of his game, as we all know now. So he played to his strength. He threw his major league fastball, and he won the Masters.
Hey, I want to talk about Randy Smith a little bit, right? Same coach as Scotty Scheffler. There's no coincidence there. And I think this guy knows exactly what Augusta demands. And I'm wondering how much of that, what has worked for Scheffler, will find its way to Gary. Do you think maybe this Randy Smith guy has almost been rebuilding Gary's game around it a little bit? Or are those two totally separate? There'd be no real communication. I got to think he's got to learn something from Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely watched Scotty's freedom of swing, freedom of movement out there. And he's definitely encouraging Gary to adapt a similar philosophy of swinging free, swinging aggressive. You've heard Rory say it. We take conservative targets and make aggressive swings. And that's how you play under the highest pressure and pull off shots. And again, 13 is a great example. It's going to play contour or counter to what Gary's ball flight is, but he just needs to play to the center. If it goes left, he needs to practice today and the next couple of days, chipping from the left side of that green. But his ball flight should never go right where it finds the tributary Race Creek. And so those are just simple strategic things that maybe Randy say, hey, instead of fighting it, let's just play to the middle. And if we draw it left, we're fine. But our fade is never going to get us in trouble here. And just, commit to that ball flight. And, there's places where, again, it could help him. Back right pin on number 2 on Sunday. Golly, it's a draw lie, but on the ground, it's going to move to the right. So that's got to please Gary. So what Scotty's been doing, it's certainly enlightened Gary Randy is enlightened Randy as to how he can coach Gary. Yes, definitely a correlation.
I think there's been a lot of them playing together in practice rounds or at home when Gary goes to Dallas. And then also, Gary's got this new lob wedge that's like a double bend. It's got mega offset. And that's something that's in one of Scotty's arsenal of wedges. And I think Gary was telling me that Scotty has one wedge that says Masters on it. And then the next one. So he's got a handful of wedges in which he's rotating in and out. I think that's mainly on the lob wedge, but Gary's got this new lob wedge that even Sully could hit well.
Well, I will tell you, the guy that I'm working with on the Corn Ferry Tour, Dylan Stewart, kid from Colorado, played his college golf in Oklahoma, was down in Georgia and Florida the last couple of weeks, and he actually switched a grind on his lob wedge. So the leading edge profile is a little lower on that Bermuda grass, and started opening the wedge up a little bit, exposing more bounce and changing some of his wedge characteristics to fit the grasses he was on. So that's happening across tours. All players are doing that. And Gary hopefully is picking that up from Scotty's ability to do that.
Yeah. Hey, Drew, give us some inside scoop. What do caddies talk about, let's say, when they're walking amen corner that nobody ever hears?
Oh, what do caddies talk about? We just kind of look at each other and we just say, how cool is this that we get to do this? I'm a guy, grew up playing baseball, never knew golf existed. And I've walked over that bridge with some pretty cool people. More than anything, I'm listening to them. I remember walking across that bridge, listening to Phil and Bryson talk about Phil wanted a little bit smoother surface of a golf ball because for the 50% of Thursday, Friday rounds that are in the morning, he wanted the mud to disperse and fly off his ball. He didn't want as many mud balls. So he wanted a little slicker surface that would prevent that. Bryson wants a little tackier surface on his ball for that 1/1,000,000th of a second more of control that he gets. And so that's what they're talking about walking over Hogan Bridge. So I wasn't saying a whole lot that day because I was just listening and trying to let the encyclopedia of my mind gather all the big words these two guys were using. Walked across that bridge with Ben Crenshaw once, and he was telling us stories. And you're just like, man, I'm getting to hear from Gentle Ben in Amen Corner walking across Mr. Hogan's Bridge. So again, it's more of a pinch me kind of moment in Amen Corner for sure. I will tell you, Bryson and I were fighting on Saturday in 2016 on our way to a 5/77. And Shane Lowry's caddy, we were playing with Lowry that day, and Lowry's caddy came up to me off 14T, and he said, is he turning pro Monday? And I said, yeah, if I don't kill him between now and then. And he goes, he said, all the top players are like that. Just shut up and count the money. Well, we finished 4th the next week at Harbortown. He cashed about a $300,000 check, and I got my slice of that and saw him a week later and said, thanks for the advice. So that's some of the advice that you may get walking around the Masters when your player's losing it. The caddy in the group says, this is a good job. Don't do anything to jeopardize it. And again, we all want to go back, and I unfortunately have not had the chance yet, but I am hopefully working my way there for 2027 and beyond.
Okay, how about the conversation, Drew, from the driving range to the first tee on Thursday?
There's not much. I remember asking Drew Weaver, who was the British amateur champ, maybe 15, maybe a little bit more than that. I asked him, I said, hey, any advice for me as I head in to do this? He goes, just remind your lungs that they need to do their job. And I'm like, that's hyperbole, whatever. And I'm walking from the putting green to the first tee, and I go, oh, he's right. Like, I mean, it's just stimulation overload. It's so cool. And yeah, we actually will ride a shuttle from the practice tournament area, or the tournament practice area. We'll ride a shuttle from there to the front of the clubhouse. And then there's a little cut through. As the stairs come down from the champions locker room, we'll walk right by the stairs. So you may see, VJ or Phil or Tiger coming out. That's kind of cool. You get to, bypass one of those guys at any point in the week. But Thursday morning, you kind of walk through that little tunnel and you just see the live oak in front of the clubhouse. You kind of see a few people gathered, and then out beyond, you see the patrons in the sunlight. And you really are just like, George, it's no different than you walking up to the plate on opening day. You're just trying to compose yourself, take a couple deep breaths, and remind yourself what you're there to do. Try to distill it down to its simplest form. I'm just trying to hit a ball with a stick, and golf is no different. You're trying to hit a ball with a stick. You try to distill it down, but there's so much going on. You see your name, you're a player. You see your name on that little starter sign. And that is just so cool to see. And all the hard work it's taken to get your name on that board, along with the guys like Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Mr. Palmer, all of them, the honorary starters now. Mr. Watson is one of those. Again, just so neat to all the things, that you walk up on the tee and 4 or 5 green jackets come up and shake your hand, not just as a player, but as a caddy, which is really neat. And they're handing you the rule sheets and all that. And the patrons are there, and they're 15, 20 deep on the first tee. And there's just no way to tell yourself this isn't a big deal. And that's kind of, what you got to get over. Everything around you, everything you see, you hear, you smell tells you this is what I've been practicing for my whole life. So going to that first tee, the only thing you may tell your guys, hey, let's just take a deep breath and let's just try to find a very small target out there. Mr. Ken Venturi always said small targets equate small misses. And so you just try to, hey, let's find a trunk of a tree up that left center and let's just pump it. And usually, I've even seen guys like Phil Mickelson, 3-time champ, walk off that first tee and just kind of shake it off, just, whoa, man. It's nerve-wracking. And it's a good kind of nerve-wracking. Again, as we say, pressure is a privilege, and it's a huge privilege there. And you can't help but recognize that.
Yeah. Is it going to be weird not having Tiger and Phil, right? It's the first Masters, I think, since the early 90s that neither one of them were there. Is this sort of are we getting old? Like, what's happening here?
We are getting old. Father Time, undefeated. We had a first Masters without Arnie and Jack.
Yeah, right.
You had a first Masters without Gene Sarazen. You had a first Masters without Hogan and Mr. Nelson. So it happens, and we're just watching the changing of the guard. And now it's a Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler world that we're living in. And now this is their era, or, the back end of their, the time when they're supposed to dominate. And so it's time for the new generation to take the torch. And if you look, the average age of a Masters champion is 32 years old. There are 10 32-year-olds in the field this week. And if you want to look at this, it might be one of the greatest group of players that we'll ever see at 32 years old. Daniel Berger, Wyndham Clark, Bryson, Nico Echeverria, Michael Kim, Xander Schauffele, Cam Smith, Jordan Spieth, Sepp Straka, and Justin Thomas. They're all 32. Pretty impressive group. And that's your average age of a winner. So you might not have to look further than that to find your champ.
Love it.
All right. What do you say? We go to picks? Wardo, you feeling the picks?
Feeling the picks.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We never pay our bets, by the way. Every year we do this.
No one's ever won.
It's because you pick Tommy Fleetwood every year.
As your dark horse.
Listen, I'm going to win this year. I'm going to win this year, and I'll be in that neighborhood in July and August. I'm coming to the Power and Light District, and you guys are going to pay off this bet.
Oh, all right.
What do you
got,
coming? Drew?
Well, first of all, I got to figure out, when are you coming, Drew?
Whenever the Corn Ferry schedule sends me there. I know we've got a tournament in Wichita. I know we've got a tournament in Springfield, Missouri. I know we've got a tournament in Springfield, Illinois. So I will be zigzagging through your neighborhood plenty.
Right.
Well, you have a tournament in Kansas City, don't they?
Yeah, there's
The
one
Corn Ferry. There's one here.
Kansas City.
Is that the Advent Health Championship?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that okay? So there you
Last
go.
event of the year before the playoffs. Now they moved it back.
Okay, so I will be in town that week, and maybe we can get together and break some bread.
Hey,
I hope so.
You've got a place to stay if you need one. Okay.
Sully's pub.
All right. I got a whole apartment here for you. You're good to go. So put that in your back pocket. Okay. All right.
Okay.
We're going to start with Drew Hinesley's picks. Should we do an A, B, and a C? Right?
Well, he doesn't get to pick 3 in a row.
No. He picks one. Okay, we'll start with your A.
And are we doing like a draft?
Can
and
we
once I
dual
pick,
pick?
He's off the board.
Yeah.
Can we dual pick?
Well, if you're the last pick.
Somebody that I want, can I pick the same guy?
Nah, I don't think so.
So once the guy's picked, he's off the board,
Off
right?
the board.
That's
Okay.
what I
All
would
right,
say.
go,
Yeah.
Hinesley. You're first.
I'm first. I'll take the champ, and I'll take Scotty Scheffler. I mean,
Okay.
Okay, is it my turn now?
Here, George. Hey, I put it up on the screen for you here,
Go
George.
ahead.
Okay, I'm
Can
going
you
to
see
take
that?
Ludvig.
Oh, okay. That was my guy.
good pick. Good pick. Okay.
I got Rory.
Okay. I got John
Hey,
Rahm.
Wardo picking Rory only 3 times in the last 10 years. Has a defending champ even finished in the top 10? Jordan Spieth in 2016, and Scotty's done it twice.
Well, I got a little insider news. One of my students played Augusta last week. He shot a nice little 78, and Rory, he played there the same day. Rory shot 29 on the back, so he's going to carry that good form to this week.
That's
Okay.
great insider info. Okay. So, Sully,
I don't
you
have
took one of my picks, John Rahm. Okay, and it's your pick to start the
Yep.
second
Yeah.
round,
So
Sully.
my pick again. I'm going to go with Cam Young.
Slide it down
Great
a little
pick.
bit, Sully.
All right.
Just
I'm gonna go to-
and to the Cam Young pick,
yeah.
for the last 2 years, the winner of the Players' Championship has gone on to win the Masters.
Very nice.
See? A little insight there.
I've
All right.
got scroll up just one click there.
Sure.
I'll take Fleetwood.
Every year, there's someone taking Fleetwood. Okay.
All right, I think it's me, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
You.
Yes.
I've heard this guy's name mentioned a lot today, Chris Gotterup.
He's good.
Oh, there you go. Could be the first guy since 1979 to win his maiden voyage around Augusta. Rest in peace.
That was,
Fuzzy
don't tell
Zeller.
me that was Fuzzy Zeller.
Rest in peace. Yes.
Wow.
First
good.
Masters without him. I'll take Xander Schauffele.
Okay.
And do I get to pick for the third?
Yep.
Yes.
Who was my other guy? Let's see. You took Rahm away from me. I got to take Bryson. Why not?
Yep. I like it.
George, you're up.
Well, I gotta take my favorite player on tour as we speak. I'm gonna go with Gary Woodland.
I'm going to go ahead and let him cook. A little Min Woo Lee.
Great pick.
Bomber sends it.
Well,
Great pick.
He won some fans there. All right. I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my only concern with him is his health. He pulled out of his last start, backed out of Houston. But
What,
man,
what was wrong with him?
I think it was something in his back. He was on the 11th tee at the Players, and he was like doing his pre-shot rehearsal, and all of a sudden he just stood straight up. And
Oh,
that
yeah, I
usually
saw that.
tells me something is seized up in the lower back, not allowing him to turn. And it could have been just one of those mild, pulls or cramps, and he didn't want to exacerbate it, so he just took the month off. But he won Pebble Beach, and last year Rory won Pebble Beach and then won at Augusta. So
All right. I'll stay with him. You're not going to
Let's
scare
go
me. away from-
$100 a man. Sully, put us all on a text with our picks.
Yep.
And then the winner on Sunday night will receive $300.
Okay. So, Wardo,
sounds great.
all right. So you've got Rory, and who was your next one?
Fleetwood.
Fleetwood.
And Woo Lee. Let him cook.
So
George
complete
had-
international team for Wardo.
Let's go.
All right.
I got
George had-
Ludvig.
Yeah.
I got Gotterup and Mary
Woodland.
Woodland.
All right. And Drew's got.
Scotty, Xander, Bryson.
God,
I don't know how I lose.
Oh my gosh, that's like, yeah, that's well. I mean,
That's-
you're a smart inside the ropes type guy, Okay. All right. The bet is in.
Okay.
And let's see who wins. We'll regroup next week.
Sounds good.
Hey, what is the date for the Advent? You know the
That'd be
date?
late July.
Hold
No,
up.
early August.
Early August. Okay.
Hang on. Let's put that down.
Well, I mean, I know, George, you've got your
Drew
Royals
in
schedule.
town.
Where are the Royals going to be that week?
You know, I have no idea.
Doesn't even know where they are next week, Drew.
Yeah, I do. They're in Cleveland today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, and then they're home this weekend against the Sox.
There you go.
Okay. August 17th.
Hey, did you
August
guys already play
17th.
the
Okay, I
Atlanta
think
Braves
what we
this
should
year?
do too is if Drew comes in a little early or has a day off, maybe get a round of golf in with him, and then
So
maybe
that means I got to bring my
one
stick.
night during the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, 17th through the 23rd. I'll be in Boise the week before, so the only way I get there is if we miss the cut in Boise. So
Better yet.
Get there
Better
early.
yet, George should cook for us. He hasn't cooked for me in like 4 years.
there we go. So yeah, third week or fourth week of August, third or fourth.
Okay,
George, fire up the grill for us.
July, August. Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right, man. Great show. Hope you enjoyed it. Golf Underground.